Borderlands 3 is a game overflowing with weapons from shiny and rare to dull and downright absurd. Oh wait, this is Borderlands 3, where every enemy can drop legendaries like they are handing out free samples. So I decided to take all that away and limit myself. So let's lay down the ground rules. Restriction 1, I can only use gear bought through vending machines. Restriction 2, I can only buy one gear upgrade per machine. Restriction 3, no DLC. My Vault Hunter of choice is Zane, because if there's one guy who knows how to survive off vending machines, it's him. Legend has it, he lived an entire year off just expired pretzels and Diet Cokes from a vending machine in a Hyperion break room. After a scenic ride with our favorite arms dealer, I'm greeted by Claptrap, though something about his voice seems off. He goes into an overly dramatic speech about the many dangers of Pandora before leading me on a super stealthy mission. Naturally, he immediately gets captured. With my robot buddy in peril, I punch through waves of bandits, determined to save him. Along the way, I pick up a shield, only to immediately toss it aside because if it didn't come from a vending machine, it does not belong on me. Eventually, I come face to face with Shiv. Using expert movement and a well-placed slap to an explosive barrel, I take him down with my bare hands. I pull the lever to free Claptrap, only to watch him plummet like a sack of bolts. After reviving him from his very traumatic fall, the Firehawk Lilith shows up. She helps me mop up the remaining bandits, who at this point should take the day off since their boss clocked out permanently. We head back inside where Lilith starts playing Fortnite. While she does that, I grab my first grenade mod and shield from vending machines. While exploring, I stumble upon a side quest that has me powering up one of Marcus's gun vendors. Now that's my kind of mission. After murdering a shock skag and using its spine as a power cable, the machine hums to life, rewarding me with a purple shotgun. This is shocking, considering my entire Borderlands 2 vending machine run never gave me anything higher than a green weapon. Along the way, I activate my action skill, which is just a shield, and start throwing hands with some fanatics because apparently I bought a gun I'm not even high enough level to use. A loot tank shows up and explodes into a mountain of glorious loot that I can't equip. I then meet Captain Underpants, or as this game calls him, Vaughn, and hit level 4, and finally get to use a real gun, just in time to obliterate an entire family of skags. Maybe that's why PETA keeps calling. With the map secured, I head back to Lilith, who already knows Vaughn. She sends me to Ellie for a vehicle, and I hijack one from some bandits. As I'm driving back, I'm thrilled at the thought of seeing my old buddy Scooter again, because there's no way they'd kill him off in a non-main series game, right? Once the vehicle is scanned in, it's time to track down the map's next location, at the Holy Broadcast Center. After running through an army of bandits, I stock up on more upgrades before facing the second boss, DJ Khaled, Mouthpiece. Instead of killing me, he seems more concerned with making me dance. He sent a tiny guy at me, and another one, and another one. Then I shut his speakers off permanently. With the key in hand, I head for the exit, only to run into Twitch streamers who thought it was a good idea to do an IRL stream in Pandora's murder-filled wasteland. That's when I learned the best news. Running is officially canceled. I can fast travel from anywhere now. Upon returning the map, I'm immediately told to take it right back out to Tannis so she can charge it up. If only we had, an angel to do that for us. While defending Tannis from an attack, I hit level 7 and the map reveals there's another vault on Promethea. To get there, we need to fuel up our ship by running over living creatures for fuel. This seems extremely eco-friendly, and Elon Musk is shaking. After my vehicular massacre, I grab the Astronav chib, promptly get myself stuck, and finally board the ship, ready for liftoff. Just as we're about to leave, the streamers ambush Lilith. All that G Fuel paid off because they stole her siren powers. After fending off their goons, I meet a friendly little guy, revive Lilith before she bleeds out, and watch as she stumbles her way onto the ship. For the first time ever, we leave Pandora. Claptrap, in his infinite wisdom, decides to jump the gun on planetary travel, only to become emergency duct tape to save us all from suffocation. Honestly, his most useful moment to date. Once we avoid death by vacuum, I check in on the crew since the ship took a serious beating. Tannis finds a creative way to stay warm, while Marcus has the opposite problem and is 10 seconds away from melting into a puddle of capitalism. Then it's off to Moxie, who as always has the goods. And no, not those two. Instead of just giving me the iridium I need, she forces me to gamble for it, knowing full well I'll be addicted and spend all my cash later. Once we fix Claptrap's minor mistake, we head to Promethea, where Atlas and Malawan are in the middle of an all-out war. I take a drop pod down and absolutely nail the landing, and head off to track down the source of a distress call. Enter Lorelei, a battle-hardened caffeine addict who fights for Atlas. She takes me to her hideout, which immediately gets raided by Malawan and some bandits who decided to put aside their differences to beat me up. The soldiers aren't much trouble, but I almost get my first death here, so it's clear I need another gun. My shotgun burns through ammo like Claptrap burns through my patience, and while punching is fun, it's getting old. I find another weapon machine, but of course I need to be level 12 to use it, so I buy a purple SMG to keep in my back pocket for later. We get into contact with the CEO of Atlas, Reese, who is rocking a highly questionable mustache. I get a new ride and head out to find his top operator, who turns out to be none other than bandit hunting swordsman Roranoa Zero. Our first mission is to wipe out a swarm of Malawan bots and disable their shield. The counterattack is going well until Zero just lets me die. But then he saves me seconds later, so I guess we're cool. With his sword upgraded, he starts cutting through shields like they're butter, and we push forward. Next up is a big brain boss fight. This dude has way too many drones that block every single one of my shots. Between my ammo shortage and his obsession with flying robots, the fight drags on for a bit. Eventually, I smack him down and take his brain back to Reese, where I proceeded to blackmail him into helping me with the vault situation. Seems like a totally normal business exchange. Before heading back to the ship, I decided to tackle a very important side mission. First, getting power back to the coffee shop. Second, finding coffee cups from this nice gentleman. Third, defeating two separate invasions over stolen coffee cups. And four, finally delivering the coffee. All of this for a cup of hot bean juice, and honestly, still less painful than paying $7 for Starbucks. Back on the ship, Lilith needs me to help her out with one of her good friends on Athenas. The moment we get there, we see Malawan is already here. Seriously, how many soldiers do these guys have? Is there a Malawan cloning facility I do not know about? As I fight through waves of soldiers, I grenade myself because no battle is complete without a little self-inflicted damage. Somewhere in the chaos, I take down Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen. It looks like the final season wasn't the only thing out to get them. Then meet Maya the Siren, because you can never have too many overpowered superheroes on your side. With her help and a well-timed revive, I secure the square for the monks. Every time I clear a new area, I have to ring a bell so they'll open the door for me, making me feel like I'm checking into a 5-star hotel. Except, instead of a mint on my pillow, it's just more enemies. Midway through the push, I realized I have a second ability. I go with the clone because one old fella just isn't enough. After that, I score a legendary grenade mod from a vending machine and then clean out a ratch infestation like an intergalactic exterminator. Next, I meet Ava, who is Maya's apprentice, which I immediately catch looting corpses. As the outstanding role model I am, I decided to help her with a little grave robbing. For science, of course. Turns out the iridium we are looking for is in a giant bug nest, so naturally I torch the place and walk away with the goods. On the way back to Maya, I hit level 12, unlocking the SMG I bought ages ago, and turning my shield into a Halo 3 style bubble shield. Nostalgia hits hard. Fully armed and ready to go, I tear through the enemies until I reach my next boss, Captain Tron. The man has the power of Game of Thrones on his side, but unfortunately for him, I'm the writer of this episode. He goes down, and with the iridium secured, Maya supercharges herself and unlocks a hidden tomb containing a vault key piece. I take the fragment back to Tannis for research, only to have Mr. Mustache CEO call me up, conveniently needing my help. Turns out that he knows exactly where another key fragment is. So it's back to Promethea we go, where I finally meet Reese in person, mustache and all. Meanwhile, Malawan's CEO is doing everything in his power to become Reese's anime rival. First, we need to steal one of their ships to head up and take out the giant laser that just so happened to vaporize the best theme park ever, Lazy Riverland. That's unforgivable. On my way up, I accidentally blow myself up, earning my second death. Then I get ambushed at an elevator, forcing me to take the vent crawling, hardcore parkour route like I'm in some low-budget spy movie. Eventually, I reach the laser's core, only to be greeted by waves of bandits who just won't stop coming. After mowing them down, I skydive into a suspiciously tight hole, probably not OSHA approved, barely survive a flying murder orb, and then, because Reese is a man of questionable priorities, gets his own personal ball. With that handled, I clear the way for the ball, take down the firewalls, and then promptly dive for the third time to the last two enemies. Not my proudest moment. Finally, with Katagawa's pleasure yacht in sight, we use the laser to obliterate it, which seems like a completely normal response to business rivalries. Of course, he doesn't take that well and sends his killer ball after me. Apparently 2 health bars weren't enough, this one has 3. I die again, but after carefully working my way through the fight, things get sketchy. But by some miracle, I pull through and secure the second key fragment. Before heading back to Sanctuary, I decide to do some side missions to level up 2 times and get my first class mod upgrade. After handing Tannis the second key fragment, Reese conveniently informs us that he just so happens to have the third one lying around. Despite these things being worth a fortune, he finally trusts us enough to fork it over. I guess saving his entire operation finally won him over. Zero was supposed to let me in, but since he's gone, Liam steps up instead. Meanwhile, Katagawa is still salty about his pleasure yacht, so he sends an army to invade Atlas City out of pure spite. To stop them, I need to bring the turrets back online, which would be much easier if I wasn't stuck using under-leveled weapons. Just as I bring the turrets back online and the city is saved, they are destroyed. Fantastic. So after holding off waves of enemies with my bare bones gear, I finally take an elevator up to meet Reese in his office. only to find out that Zero has gone rogue. Plot twist, it was just Katagawa playing dress up. Turns out that Mr. Boatboy went all out for Halloween and fooled everyone. The fight that follows is tedious, requiring me to figure out which clone is real, which feels eerily familiar, like I've done this before. Looking at you, Handsome Jack's doppelgangers. I get so close to taking him down, only to die in the dumbest way possible. Getting him back to low health takes trial and error, and more frustration than I'd like to admit, but eventually Katagawa joins his siblings in the afterlife. With that over, I meet back up with Reese and Zero, who turns out was just on a secret mission. I tell Reese that his mustache looks amazing, a total lie, but hey, the guy deserves a little confidence boost after what he's been through. He handed over the final key fragment, and I rushed it to Tannis so she could work her magic. We discover that the vault is directly beneath the city, and all we have to do is drive to it. Sounds simple, right? Enter a high-speed, intense Hot Wheels-style chase featuring Maya blasting through doors and bandits like she's in an action movie. On the way, I run past 2 vending machines, which would be exciting if they weren't the wrong kind. We realize the COV got here first, but joke's on them because we have the key and they don't. I sprint past waves of angry bandits and take out some alien-like guardians who are just doing their jobs. Oddly, the twins aren't here to stop us, which means we get to walk right into the vault. That's when I use the key to awaken the Rampager, because what's a vault without a giant, horrifying monster? Phase 1 was easy. Phase 2 was slightly annoying with his corrosive powers. Excuse me, sir, but I did not sign up for an acid bath today. Phase 3, absolute chaos. This dude burns up the entire chamber, forcing me to run for my life while chipping away at his health. Suddenly, this feels like a Mario Party minigame where you're one wrong step away from disaster. After finally taking down the monster, I loot my well-earned vault spoils, which is great, except where are the vending machines? Seriously, what kind of vault doesn't have vending machines? Before I can complain too much, Tannis discovers that the vault is linked to another one. Ava shows up, being her usual rebellious self. The twins arrive, and Troy drains Maya's siren powers like he's chomping down on a devil fruit, and she turns to dust. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Shaken up, I take Ava back to the ship, and after everything that just happened, I decided to finally visit the weapon machine on Sanctuary. 2 weapons just aren't cutting it anymore, so I grab a green sniper because at this point, I'll take whatever I can get. I head over to Lilith to figure out our next move, only to be greeted by a depressing video of Maya, courtesy of the twins. No time to dwell on it though. Hammerlock needs saving, and that means heading to Eden 6. Upon arrival, I immediately ignore a tied-up woman on the side of the road, probably not important, and climb a mountain, using my sniper to pick off the bandits swarming the Jacobs estate. Maybe Wainwright will appreciate the effort considering I'm using one of his own weapons. As soon as I step inside, I'm greeted by the true hero of this story, a weapon vending machine. I immediately splurge on a purple cryo SMG. Hammerlock, of course, is not just hanging out. He's locked up in a prison, so I make my way to the anvil to thin out the guards. Brick is already on the job, but considering he still refuses to use guns, we do things his way, punching through everything like we're running a demolition derby with fists. Midway through, I hit level 19, meaning it's finally time to put my new cryo SMG to the test, and this thing turns enemies into popsicles. After yet another ambush, I run into Crunk Bunny, who's all grown up and now moonlighting as a delivery driver for Domino's. She needs help making a very special delivery, so I gather the ingredients and bring them to the chef, who whips up something explosive. On the way to our first stop, I meet Birdman and his new buddy, who helped me clear a bridge for the delivery. Everything is going smoothly until the last enemy decides to go full RPG sniper mode and takes me down. Still, I recover fast enough to get the pizza delivered before the 20 minutes or its free window. I don't think we have the budget for freebies. With our mission accomplished, I storm the prison and finally find Hammerlock, locked in a cage and guarded by the next boss, the Warden. At this point, it's a recurring theme that every boss goes immune after every phase. And honestly, it's getting annoying. Warden bulks up on steroids mid-fight, but just as I'm about to finish him off, I fall and I can't get up. The second round goes way smoother, and this time, the Warden finally goes down. His loot? A whopping 3 legendaries. Wow, so stingy. With Hammerlock finally free, I learned that his own sister was behind the whole mess, because, in this universe, family bonding time means attempted murder. After stocking up on upgrades at the crib, I agree to meet Hammerlock's sister, hoping to distract her while Jacobs sneaks in. Seems like a solid plan, until I actually step into the manor and realize it was all a trap. Troy immediately goes on a dramatic villain monologue before chasing Jacobs, while I take out waves of bandits. Fighting inside a house reminds me of when my mom told us not to play inside, but we did anyway. Good times. Eventually, I fight my way to the theater where I have a showdown with Purple Hulk. The trademark is pending, but we all know Disney's lawyers are watching. He falls with ease, and I finally get to watch the movie I've been dying to see. It has a 1-star review though, so I bounce after the first scene. On my way out, I snag a record that happens to hold a critical message about the next Vault Key piece. I meet Woody the cowboy, who's having a really bad day because his town's been overrun by bandits. Naturally, I step in to help because what's a lawless planet without a random stranger solving everyone's problems? As we clear out the town, I free the rebels, bust into the weapons depot, only to find the chest is locked up. More bandits show up, so we clean out the saloon and motel, Wild West style, and then I restore power back to the city. With the power back on, I hit up the weapon machine and grab myself a green assault rifle. The gunsmith with the key to the weapon's chest is holed up in Fort Sunshine, so I find a high vantage point to plan my way in, which turns out to be me sprinting past a bunch of enemies like I'm in a speed run. At the end, I hop on some wood, no, not that kind, and head straight over the prison wall. Once inside, I take out all the bandit guards and free Dalton, the gunsmith. He hands me the key, but not before casually mentioning that it was hidden in a dark place. Considering this is a prison, it's probably best not to ask for clarification. I head back to the weapons depot to unlock the holy grail of guns, which I immediately have to drop. Meanwhile, the record player is back in working order, so I return to Hammerlock to figure out the location of the next vault key piece. While on my way to the family jewel, I snag a few upgrades and save a pink teddy bear named Balex from getting eaten by a T-Rex. It just so happens that the family jewel is a giant, crashed spaceship, and Balex was the brilliant pilot who crashed it. He tells me to fix some wires, which plot twists electrocute me instantly. Luckily, a nearby medbot revives me. Naturally, to thank him, I immediately shoot him in the head so Balex can ride shotgun. After fighting through what seems to be Jurassic Park, I defend Balex, clear out the security, and somehow stumble into the middle of a monkey mating ritual. Unable to handle this monkey business, I glitch out of the map and fall into eternal darkness. Eventually, I come back to reality, take out the monkeys, and pocket Balex like he's the best portable AI ever. We eventually find him a new robot body, but instead of the normal setup, he ends up mounted in the crotch area. Apparently, stepladders don't exist in this universe, and I'm not tall enough to reach the top shelf. Then we run into Balex's crazy ex, Genevieve, and shocker, she's not over him. The fight is surprisingly simple, just a matter of dodging disco balls and breaking down Tron-style walls. Near the end, I take a quick trip to the ground, but I get back up and finish the fight. With a key fragment secured, I return to Sanctuary with Balex in tow. But of course, the crazy ex just won't quit. She takes over the ship and steers us straight into an astrofield. Luckily, Balex knows how to hack her into a tiny drive, which Marcus very suspiciously wants for himself. Not sketchy at all. With the first fragment safely in hand, I take it over to Tannis so she can work her magic. Clay knows exactly where the second vault fragment is, so he hands me the rogue sight, a weapon strictly for shooting glowing circles and absolutely nothing else. I use the weapon to find the secret hideout entrance, only to discover someone went full Picasso with the blood of Clay's friends. The bad news is the fragment was stolen. The good news, Clay, being the mastermind he is, had a tracker on it from the start. The only catch is we need everyone's IDs to actually track it. First stop, D's, nuts, who's rocking a very convincing disguise. After exposing him, he hulks out and we clear out all of his followers before he finally coughs up his ID. Next up is Quietfoot, who ironically does not go out quietly. After grabbing his ID, I secure the docks and hit level 24. For helping Domino, he tosses me his ID and I head back to the rogue's hideout. Using the IDs, I summon a holographic jabber that conveniently leads me straight to the traitor, Artemis. You know, the same guy who pretended to be dead back at the hideout? Classic villain move. Since no one betrays Clay and gets away with it, we throw down. His Ant-Man shrinking tricks might be cool, but bullets are cooler, and he falls fast. With the second vault fragment in hand, I head back to Tannis. Now it's time for the third fragment, which is located at the Jacobs booze-making facility. After clearing out the area, I request for a barrel, but instead I get two tiny idiots. Now I just have to kill everything in sight while Dumb and Dumber struggle with a puzzle. Eventually, they finally send me the correct barrel, which, surprise surprise, has the last vault fragment inside. As I'm leaving, Aurelia, aka Sister of the Year, shows up and freezes the boys solid. Turns out she's a tougher vault hunter than I expected, and she takes me down fast. Before round 2, I have to get pumped up to some tunes. After dumping over 1,000 bullets into her smug face, she finally falls. And while Hammerlock understands, I still feel bad for the guy. And now it's my turn to solve a puzzle, which thankfully just involves shooting certain body parts of statues. Finally, a puzzle that respects my one and only skill, shooting things. The bridge appears and I head into the vault where Tannis casually crafts the key on the fly. Then it's time for a 15-minute boss fight that's pretty fun. It involves me having to watch the ground to see where he's about to smash with his arms, and at certain points he tilts the entire arena, almost sending me sliding to my death. After finally taking him down, Tannis swoops in and absorbs his powers before anyone else can. I grab my upgrade, leave the vault, and watch our vault key battery get kidnapped. Back at the ship, we learn the Great Vault exists because apparently a normal vault just isn't enough. Back to Pandora we go. Before meeting up with Vaughn, I make a quick stop for some upgrades, ones I can't use yet because they require me to be level 29. Vaughn fills me in on Tannis' whereabouts. She's been taken to a festival where they live stream human sacrifices because quality content is hard to come by. I make my way over and sacrifice my vehicle, but apparently it wasn't good enough. Luckily, I can just spawn another and head over to Donnie's camp. I clear out all of his cronies before facing Donnie and his big D. Yes, that's what he calls it. After taking down his 3-incher, he falls with ease. I just had to get down to his eye level. With Donnie gone, I snag the golden ride and take it back to the festival entrance. Once inside, I get thrown into a rigged game show where the answers don't matter and Vaughn gains a new girlfriend who speaks in a mysterious gibberish language. As I'm fighting my way through the festival, I level up and enter Carnivora, only to be greeted by an entire Tink army. Just as I'm about to reach the main event, the entire festival starts driving away. To catch it, I jump into my golden ride and start disabling its crucial parts. Transmission gone. Main tank blown up. With the festival officially out of gas, I climb aboard. Rather than waste my time live streaming my murder spree, I run past all the enemies and cue my WWE entrance music as I walk into the main arena. Turns out Penn and Teller joined the Borderlands universe, except they go by Pain and Terror here. I get thrown into a battle with a giant machine that basically turns into Fall Guys minigames. The shield phase drags on forever, but once the core is exposed, the fight is over in no time. This is the point Tannis reveals her big secret, which is she is the new angel. After taking out the 2 magicians, I hit level 28 and head back to Sanctuary. There, the 3 sirens gather to explain how rare they are and why being a siren is such a big deal. Now it's time to head back to Roland's Rest to defend against Troy's invasion. Before talking to Vaughn, I decided to grind to level 29 so I can finally use my new gear. This leads me to Ubering for a grumpy old man, but as I drive past Tina, I decide to ditch the geezer on the side of the road and help save Boomtown instead. I go full top rope, slam a bomb down, and Brick helps me blow it up, trapping a bunch of bandits. From there, I head over to Boomtown to help the old crew clear out the COV and pay respects to an old friend. Finally, I hit level 29, buy some upgrades, and equip my new gear. Now I'm ready to talk to Vaughn and head to the Great Vault. First, we have to make an attack on the Twins' home base. I charge in, ready for battle, only to get lasered out of existence like I just tried to leave the map. To take down the turrets, we have to go to Tannis' base, which is through the mines. This gives me the perfect opportunity to test out my new sniper and shotgun on some unsuspecting bandits. I bust through the doors using a minecart and take down the demi-boss with ease. After that, I sprint past the rest of the enemies because honestly, I have a planet to save. Along the way, I buy a legendary shield upgrade, but I can't use it until I'm level 31. Next, I take out a Bug's Life Borderlands edition before heading into the cavern, where I have to gently caress a minecart not once, but twice to get the door open. Tannis might need to go outside a little more. Now inside her secret lab, I prep the amplifier for transportation and start a vehicle mission with Vaughn. This of course goes terribly, because Vaughn would rather run his mouth than help. I lose the vehicle multiple times, and in moments like these, Maya is deeply missed, because at least she actually helped. After way too much running, we finally get the cargo delivered, and I head back to Sanctuary just in time to watch Troy phase lock an entire moon, because apparently it's actually a vault key. Tannis, deciding she's done with everyone's nonsense, goes full super soldier while I clear out the COV so she can hack the turrets to fight for us. Now it's time to storm the cathedral, and the whole gang's here, ready for war. Ava, currently in apprentice mode, under Tiny Tina, delivers a bomb of a pizza. I level 30 and defend Ava. We thought putting a child on the front lines was a good idea. The bandits fall easily, and we open the gate, only to come face to face with another anointed. He goes down fast, then 2 more show up. I take out Troy's iridium source, hoping it'll stop him from charging the vault key. But of course he flips the script and decides to drain his sister's powers instead, getting the vault key open in the process. Troy's fight is basically dodge the orbs, wait for the next phase, and repeat, which isn't too difficult. He falls for my clone over and over, and I tear through his last bit of health. Ava finally gets her siren powers from Maya, while Tyrene drains what's left of Troy before bouncing. Before heading out, I stumble across a strange echo log, and on the other end is none other than the first ever Vault Hunter. This is about to get interesting. The final stop is Necrodefeo, the Iridium homeworld, to meet the famed Typhon de Leon. Turns out Malawan somehow already set up shop on this planet that was supposed to be a myth. Good news for me though, because I can catch a ride. I run into his claptraps, and surprisingly, they aren't as annoying as the one I know. Then I meet the legend himself. He's short, probably ate too many Oreos, and not exactly the Vault Hunter type I expected. He decides to drop some major Vault lore on me and rewards me with a legendary weapon. We only need 4 Vault keys to lock away the Destroyer for good. Conveniently, I already have 3 chilling in my pocket like loose change, so it's time to go get the 4th one. On my way, I have to snipe my way through a Malawan barrier system, getting so close to my goal, until they destroy the whole bridge, and I'm forced to find another way around, for the 10th time. This detour is full of guardians, who suck at guarding, and then I run into Tron's older brother. Yeah, remember that guy? This one has different elemental tricks, but in the end, he falls just like his little bro. Moving on, I dodge some more guardians, clear out Malawan soldiers, and then hunt down 2 crystals to power an elevator to get to the Great Vault. Typhon drops some big news, willingly of course. He's the twins' father, which makes things awkward, considering I sent his son on a one-way trip to the daycare in the sky. He takes me to his wife's grave where he stashed the last vault key. We enter the final vault, which judging by the furniture, Typhon straight up lived in for a while. Tannis charges the fourth key and needs to activate a strange Iridian machine. Me and Father of the Year are tasked with placing the other 3 keys at different statues. The first was guarded by guardians, which was easy. The second was guarded by bandits, but we pushed through. The third was a pain. I run out of ammo and have to use my doo-doo tier SMG. On top of that, Typhon straight up steals my last stand revive, giving me my first death since Aurelia. I hit level 33 and watch a Tink fall to his doom, probably because his life alert wasn't working. After placing the third key, we head back to Tannis just in time for all the sirens in existence to make their grand entrance. Typhon tries to feed his daughter a live grenade for breakfast, but she survives and he doesn't. Tannis magically knows how to open a portal and it's time to end this. I come face to face with Tyrene, who is fused with the destroyer. Phase 1 was not too bad. At the end, I have to climb up her back and shoot her giant eye, but she launches me off before I can finish the job. In Phase 2, she pulls out a massive energy beam, but my bubble shield blocks it all. I climb up her back again just to get blown off again. Now in Phase 3, it's time for some deadly jump rope. She also flies back and forth over and over, dragging this fight on forever. Can we wrap this up, please? This time, I climb up her back and actually hold on. 3rd time's the charm. With her health just low enough, I finally take her down and Lilith gets her powers back. Now we finally get to see what was in the Destroyer's vault all the way from Borderlands 1, and it's kinda disappointing. I step out of the vault just in time to watch Lilith sacrifice herself to stop Pandora from being destroyed. She actually becomes a Firehawk and the credits roll, which means yes, it is possible to beat Borderlands 3 using only vending machine gear.